All right, so get ready to dive deep into a world
Okay.
that just might turn like everything you thought you knew about history like completely upside down.
Wow.
We're looking at this News Nation reality check episode
Right.
where they've got Ross Coulthart interviewing
Yeah.
Ben van Kerkwyk.
Okay.
He's from UnchartedX, you know?
Oh, yeah. I've seen some of his stuff.
And they're exploring some pretty wild evidence
Wow.
that suggests that advanced civilizations might have existed way earlier
Okay.
than, mainstream history
Yeah.
tells us.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Could there be entire chapters of human history just missing from our textbooks?
It's a question.
Yeah.
Definitely worth exploring. I think,
Yeah.
you know what's intriguing
Yeah.
about Van Kerkwyk's approach
Yeah.
is that he doesn't just present
Right.
like wild theories.
Yeah.
He brings like an engineer's perspective to archaeology,
Okay.
You know,
I like that.
examining the technical
Yeah.
aspects
Yeah.
of ancient artifacts,
Yeah.
and structures and things like that.
That's cool. So, like, he's looking at it from an engineering perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
And that leads
Yeah.
to some really interesting observations.
Okay.
Take, for example,
Mhm.
the Toshka burial site in Egypt.
Toshka burial site.
It dates back like an incredible
Wow.
14,500 years.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is that
Yeah.
archaeologists found
Yeah.
like incredibly sophisticated stone vases buried right alongside
Okay.
much more primitive pottery.
Really?
Yeah.
So they found them together.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the same site.
So, like, really advanced stuff and then really
Yeah.
primitive stuff all together.
Exactly.
That's wild.
It's a real head scratcher.
It is, yeah.
It's as if these ancient people,
Yeah.
had access to advanced technology
Yeah.
alongside like the more basic tools.
Right. Yeah.
It makes you wonder if they might have inherited.
Inherited.
Yeah.
Okay.
These objects from like a much older,
Okay.
a much more advanced source,
Interesting.
Yeah. Civilization that we haven't even like
Discovered, yeah.
discovered. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like finding a computer chip
Right.
in a medieval village.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And Toshka isn't the only site
That challenges that.
yeah,
Challenges that.
yeah, that challenges the traditional timeline.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of
Yeah.
Göbekli Tepe in
Why,
Turkey
I've heard of that.
with those massive stone pillars
Right.
arranged in these intricate circles,
Yeah.
all dating back over 12,000 years.
Wow.
Göbekli Tepe is like
Yeah.
a true enigma.
It's a mystery.
Officially, it's attributed
Yeah.
to hunter-gatherers,
Right.
but the sheer scale and complexity of
Yeah.
the site
Right.
suggests
Yeah.
a level of social organization
Hmm.
and technological know-how
Right.
that we typically don't associate with
Yeah.
nomadic
Yeah.
societies,
Yeah. Yeah.
So could this be evidence that
Yeah.
our understanding of early civilizations
Wood.
is flawed? Yeah.
Wow.
It's
That's a big claim.
it definitely makes you question
Yeah.
the traditional narrative.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's Karahan Tepe,
Okay.
also in Turkey,
Okay.
which could be
Yeah.
even older
Wow.
and 5 times larger than Göbekli Tepe.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What's fascinating is that these discoveries
Yeah.
are coinciding with a redating
A redating of?
human origins
Okay.
based on
Yeah.
new fossil and DNA evidence.
Oh, wow.
Some estimates
Yeah.
now place Homo sapiens on this planet
Right.
as far back as like 800,000
Okay.
to 900,000 years ago.
That's huge.
That's a huge shift from
Yeah.
what was previously accepted.
Yeah. That's wild.
And it's not just
Yeah.
limited to the old world.
Okay.
The Clovis First Doctrine,
Right.
which claimed that humans first arrived in the Americas around like 13,000 years ago,
Okay.
is also being challenged now.
Okay.
Sites like Bluefish Caves
Uh-huh.
in Canada
Okay.
and White Sands
Yeah.
in New Mexico
Okay.
are revealing evidence of human activity,
Okay.
pushing that timeline back by like thousands of years.
Wow. So, like, way earlier than we thought.
Way earlier.
People were in the Americas.
Yeah.
Wow.
It seems like every new discovery
Mhm.
is pushing back the timeline
Yeah.
of human presence
Oh.
and sophistication
Yeah.
further and further.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're
It is like a puzzle.
piecing together a giant
Yeah.
fragmented puzzle.
Okay.
And the picture that's emerging is like
Yeah.
quite different
Different than what we once believed.
than what we once believed.
Yeah. So we're like rewriting history as we go.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
And this brings us to one of the most like controversial
Okay.
and fascinating theories
Okay.
explored in the episode,
Okay.
the Younger Dryas Impact Theory.
Younger Dryas.
Yeah, have you heard of this?
I have heard of that, yeah.
Okay, so this theory suggests that like a massive impact event,
Oh.
possibly caused by like
Right.
comet fragments
Yeah,
or
yeah.
meteorites,
Okay.
occurred around 12,800 years ago.
Wow.
This event would have had like
Yeah.
catastrophic consequences,
All right.
wiping out megafauna,
Okay.
causing like rapid climate change,
Yeah.
and potentially even destroying like entire civilizations.
Wow. Do you think
Yeah.
such a cataclysmic event could explain?
I think it's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, the evidence
Yeah.
for the Younger Dryas impact
Uh-huh.
is quite compelling.
Okay.
There were mass extinctions,
Okay.
sudden climate shifts,
Right.
and like layers of sediment around the world containing like
Right.
platinum and nano diamonds,
Yeah.
which are telltale signs of
An impact.
impact event.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's a chilling thought.
it is. Yeah.
But if such an event did occur,
Yeah.
it could explain why evidence
yeah.
of advanced civilizations from that time period is so scarce and fragmented.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now, with all of that as like background,
Yeah.
let's dive into
Okay.
one of the most intriguing and controversial subjects,
Right.
and Van Kerkwyk explores
Okay.
ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
A land of pyramids and pharaohs and
Yeah.
mysteries that continue to just like captivate us.
Yeah, totally.
What's fascinating is that Van Kerkwyk
Yeah.
challenges like the traditional narrative
Okay.
of Egyptian civilization.
Okay, how so?
He points out that
Yeah.
many of the oldest
Okay.
Egyptian artifacts are often like the most impressive.
The most impressive
Yeah.
in terms of.
In terms of their scale,
Okay.
precision,
Right.
and like technical sophistication.
Really? So, like,
Yeah.
the older stuff is better than the newer stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like
Oh.
their skills and knowledge declined over time
Okay.
rather than progressed.
Interesting. Could it be that the
Yeah.
dynastic Egyptians
Yeah,
inherited and repurposed
exactly.
artifacts and technologies from
Yeah.
a much older,
Yeah.
more advanced civilization
Potentially?
that was like wiped out or lost to history?
Yeah, that's the question
Wow.
that Van Kerkwyk raises.
That's a great question.
It's a provocative one.
It is.
He presents several
Okay.
compelling pieces of evidence
Yeah.
to support this idea,
Like what?
including some fascinating examples
Okay.
from iconic Egyptian sites.
All right. You ready to take a closer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Look at those.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with the Tanis obelisk fragment.
Okay.
The stone fragment,
Yeah.
which was reused
Right.
in a later structure,
Uh-huh.
features layered inscriptions.
Okay.
You can actually see
Wow.
where carvings by Ramses II,
Whereas
a pharaoh
Oh, yeah.
from the 13th century BC,
Okay.
cover older,
Boulder.
more intricate glyphs.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's as if someone took a masterpiece and scribbled over it
Right.
with a crayon.
Yeah.
It suggests that the later Egyptians
Yeah.
might have been trying to emulate or even claim the achievements
Right.
of their predecessors
Right.
without fully understanding
Yeah.
the original technology or artistry.
Yeah, they were like, I can do that too.
Yeah, right.
And then it's like, oh no.
Yeah,
You
right.
can't.
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Then there's Luxor Temple,
Okay.
home to those colossal granite statues of
Right.
Ramses II.
Yeah.
The statues themselves
Yeah.
are incredibly well crafted,
Yeah.
with smooth,
Yeah.
polished surfaces
Yeah.
and precise details.
Okay.
But then you look at the glyphs inscribed on their belt lines,
Okay.
and they're like
Yeah.
crude and almost haphazardly done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, like, the statues themselves are beautiful,
Yeah.
but the glyphs are
Kind of,
not so good.
yeah, not as good.
Interesting.
It's quite a contrast.
It is, yeah.
It's almost as if
Wait.
the statues themselves were created using a level of technology
Yeah.
and craftsmanship
Uh-huh.
that was later lost.
Oh, wow.
And the later Egyptians,
Yeah.
while skilled,
Right.
couldn't quite replicate
Yeah.
the same level of sophistication.
Wow. So
They
they
had something,
Yeah.
and then they lost it.
And then it was gone.
Wow.
And here's another fascinating detail.
Okay.
The Egyptians were
Yep.
meticulous record keepers.
Right.
They documented their
Daily lives,
Yeah.
their religious rituals,
Uh-huh.
their building techniques.
Okay.
But when it comes to the construction
Yeah.
of their most impressive monuments, like the pyramids
Okay.
and these giant statues,
Yeah.
there's a curious
Yeah.
lack of documentation.
Really?
Yeah.
So they documented like everything,
Pretty much.
but not how they built
Yeah.
the pyramids.
It's as if they didn't
Wow.
want to or couldn't explain.
Or couldn't explain how they did it.
Maybe the knowledge was lost.
Right.
Or maybe
Yeah.
it was considered
Hmm.
sacred and kept secret.
Wow, that's wild.
It's
It's a huge mystery.
yeah, it's a tantalizing mystery.
And it leads us to one of the most compelling arguments
Yeah.
Van Kerkwyk makes.
Okay.
The sheer precision and scale
Right.
of some Egyptian artifacts
Yeah.
seems to defy explanation
Right.
with the tools we believe
With the tools they had.
Yeah.
At the time.
at the time, right?
Yeah.
That's where his engineering background
Exactly.
So-
That's where he
comes into play.
shines.
Right.
He examines the artifacts,
Uh-huh.
not just as historical objects,
Okay.
but as like
Yeah.
engineering challenges,
Interesting.
asking questions
Mhm.
like, how would I build this?
Right.
What kind of tools and techniques
Yeah.
would be required?
I like that.
You know?
Yeah.
And his conclusions
Yeah.
often challenge
Challenge the conventional thinking.
conventional thinking.
Okay, so let's take a look at a few examples.
Okay.
Starting at that,
Right.
incredibly thin-walled diorite vase
The diorite vase.
found at the Toshka burial site.
Right.
It's so finely crafted
Yeah.
that it's almost translucent
It's crazy.
in places. And
Yeah.
it has these lugs
Yeah.
or handles on the outside
Mm.
that seem impossible to create
Yeah, how did they do that?
with simple lathe techniques.
Yeah, it's like the level of precision required
Yeah.
to create a vase like that
Is astonishing.
is astonishing.
It suggests the use of
It does, yeah.
advanced machining techniques,
Yeah,
perhaps
yeah.
even something resembling
Yeah.
modern
Yeah.
multi-axis milling machines.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then there are
Yeah.
those tubular drill holes
Girls. Okay.
found all over Egypt.
Okay.
They're perfectly round,
Yeah. Yeah.
incredibly precise,
Okay.
and cut into some of the hardest stones imaginable.
Really?
It's spiral grooves.
Wow.
Inside these holes indicate
Okay.
a speed and efficiency that's impossible to achieve
Right.
with the copper tube
Yeah.
and bow drill method
Yeah.
that mainstream archaeology
Insists they use.
insists they use.
Wow.
In fact, the penetration rate
Yeah.
of those ancient drills
Okay.
is estimated to be 500 times greater
500 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
than what we can achieve
With modern tools.
with modern tools.
That's insane.
Yeah, it makes you wonder,
Makes you wonder what kind of technology.
what kind of technology did they have
Yeah.
that we've lost or haven't or
Or-
even rediscovered yet?
Wow.
And then there are those massive granite boxes,
Okay.
the Serapium boxes,
Serapium boxes.
found in an underground labyrinth at Socorro.
Oh, wow.
These boxes weigh up to like
Wow.
100 tons each
100 tons.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
and are so precisely crafted
Really?
that they fit
Yeah.
through the passages with less than a foot
A foot.
of clearance on each side.
Wow.
The logistics
Yeah.
of quarrying,
Yeah.
transporting,
Yeah.
and placing these boxes,
Yeah.
even with modern equipment,
Yeah.
would be mind-boggling.
I can imagine.
And yet somehow
Yeah.
the ancient Egyptians
Right.
managed to do it,
Yeah.
and they did it 25 times.
25 times.
Yeah.
Wow. It's
An incredible feat of engineering
Yeah, it's an incredible feat of engineering.
that defies easy explanation.
That defies easy explanation. Yeah. Wow. And it's just one
And it's just one
of many examples
of many examples
that Van Kerkwyk uses.
that Van Kerkwyk uses to challenge.
But challenge
Yeah, the conventional narrative
of ancient Egypt.
of ancient Egypt. Yeah.
Wow.
And this is where the conversation gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
if we entertain the possibility
Yeah.
that our understanding of ancient Egypt
Yeah.
and perhaps
Yeah.
even the entire timeline of human civilization
Okay.
is incomplete,
Okay.
then we have to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
what else might we have gotten wrong?
Wow. That's a great question.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It's a question that leads us down
It does.
a
Yeah.
rabbit hole
Yeah.
of fascinating possibilities
For sure.
and forces us to confront
Yeah.
the limitations
The limitations of
Yeah.
our current knowledge.
of our current knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But before we go there,
Okay.
let's take a closer look
Okay.
at the resistance.
The resistance
Yeah.
to these ideas.
Yeah. Van Kerkwyk and Coulthart
Yeah.
have encountered
Okay.
in trying to bring these ideas to light.
Oh, interesting.
They discuss
Yeah.
the pushback they've received.
Pushback
From mainstream academia.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The stubbornness to accept new evidence that challenges
their
very long-held beliefs.
long-held beliefs.
Right.
It's understandable.
Yeah, I guess so.
To a degree.
Yeah.
Academics build their careers on established theories and interpretations, and it can be difficult
I can imagine.
to let go of those ideas.
Yeah.
Even when presented with
Yeah.
compelling new evidence.
Yeah, it's human nature.
It's like trying to convince someone that the earth is round when they've always believed
like it to be flat.
it to be flat. Yeah.
Right.
And it's not just about ego or resistance to change. There's also a fear.
A fear of opening Pandora's box.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
if we admit that our understanding of ancient civilizations might be flawed, it raises
a lot of
a
questions.
whole host
Yeah.
of uncomfortable questions
Yeah, for sure.
about what else we might have gotten wrong.
Right.
It's like shaking
It is,
the very foundations of our understanding
of the past.
of the past.
And that can be unsettling.
That can be unsettling for some.
Yeah, I get that.
But it's also incredibly exciting. Because it opens up the possibility of
new discoveries,
new interpretations, and the deeper understanding of our place in the grand scheme of things.
Of our place, for sure. And it's a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
We should always be open
to
questioning our assumptions.
And exploring new ideas, even if they challenge
the status quo.
The status quo.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you say?
Yeah.
We delve deeper into some of these challenging ideas.
Okay.
Let's explore some of the alternative theories and interpretations that Van Kerkwyk and Coulthart present and see where they lead us.
I'm excited. You know what strikes me about this whole discussion? Is how it really highlights the way we think about knowledge and how we acquire it. We often just take for granted that what's in our history books is like the absolute truth. But as Van Kerkwyk points out, history is constantly being revised as new evidence emerges and new perspectives challenge old assumptions.
Like that.
It's like a we're always adding pieces to the puzzle.
And sometimes you gotta like rearrange the pieces.
Exactly. And one of the most fascinating aspects of the News Nation episode is how they delve into like the challenges of presenting these alternative ideas to the mainstream scientific community.
So like how hard it is.
Yeah, they talk about encountering resistance from archaeologists and historians who are reluctant to even consider the possibility that the established timeline of human civilization might be wrong.
So they're just like shutting it down.
Yeah, it's understandable to a degree. You know, academics build their careers on certain theories. And it can be tough to let go of those ideas, even when faced with evidence that contradicts them.
It's like they're afraid that if one part of the narrative crumbles, the whole thing,
the whole structure
is going to fall apart.
Might collapse.
It's
a great way to put it. It's like protecting a fragile castle, and any new information that doesn't fit neatly
within their
framework,
within their existing framework, is seen as a threat,
like an attack.
Exactly. And to be fair, there's a lot of misinformation. And pseudo-archaeology out there, so it's important.
You got to be careful.
To be discerning. But as you said earlier, critical thinking is key.
It's like the most important thing.
We need to be open to new ideas. And evaluate evidence carefully.
Carefully, but like be skeptical.
We also need to be wary of sensationalism. And claims that aren't backed up
by real evidence.
By solid research.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I appreciate about Van Kerkwyk's approach.
What's that?
He's very
methodical and evidence-based.
I like that.
He doesn't just present wild theories.
Wild theories, yeah. He backs them up with detailed analysis measurements and comparisons to modern engineering techniques.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
Right, like when he talks about those incredibly precise drill holes found in ancient Egyptian artifacts. He doesn't just say, this is impossible with ancient tools.
Yeah.
He actually breaks down the mechanics of drilling.
Okay.
Analyzes the tool marks.
Right.
Calculates
the penetration rates. Okay.
Showing that the technology used had to be far more advanced.
Than
what we traditionally attribute
to the ancient Egyptians. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's really compelling stuff.
It is.
And what's even more intriguing is that
we haven't found any physical evidence
of the tools.
Themselves.
Really?
It's as if
like they just vanished.
They vanish into thin air.
Wow.
This brings us back to the Younger Dryas Impact theory.
Right. Which we touched upon earlier,
yeah.
Okay.
If such a cataclysmic event did occur,
yeah, it could explain a lot.
It could have wiped out not just civilizations, but also the evidence
of their technologies
and their knowledge.
Yeah. It's like trying to solve a mystery.
It is like a mystery.
Where half the clues have been destroyed.
Yeah.
No wonder it's so difficult.
It's so hard
to piece together a complete picture of what might have happened in the distant past.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Right.
And imagine the impact such an event
would have on the survivors.
Yeah.
Their world would have been turned upside down.
Oh, yeah.
Their memories would be fragmented.
Right.
Their knowledge scattered. And their stories passed down.
Yeah.
Through generations.
Potentially
distorted or lost along the way.
So, like, what we have now could be like a whisper of what it once was.
Exactly.
Wow.
It makes you wonder.
It really does, yeah.
How much of what we consider
myth or legend might actually be based on...
Yeah, might actually be based on real events. Filtered through.
But, like, changed.
Yeah, the lens of trauma.
Okay.
And cultural interpretation.
Wow, that's a really interesting thought.
It's a fascinating thought.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And it raises the question of whether we might be underestimating the capabilities
like our ancestors
of those who came before us.
Yeah.
What if they possessed knowledge and technologies that we haven't even rediscovered yet?
It's a crazy thought.
It's a humbling thought.
It is, yeah. And it makes all those things we're talking about even more crazy.
Seemingly impossible feats of engineering, like the construction of the pyramids or the Serapium boxes.
Right.
Even more mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's dive a little deeper.
Into the Serapium boxes.
Into those Serapium boxes. You mentioned earlier
that
they're incredibly massive.
They are huge.
And precisely crafted.
Super precise.
Can you give us a sense of just how impressive?
Yeah, how impressive are these things?
These artifacts are, imagine a box carved from a single block of solid granite. Weighing up to 100 tons.
Wow.
With perfectly flat surfaces, 90-degree corners, and incredibly tight tolerances.
Wow.
Ben Kerkwyk mentions that he asked a modern granite manufacturing company if they could replicate these boxes, and they said it would be incredibly expensive and challenging, even with today's technology. That's amazing.
And to think they made 25 of them.
Yeah. And to think that they managed to create 25 of these boxes and transport them through narrow underground passages. With less than a foot of clearance.
Less than a foot.
On each side.
That's insane.
It seems almost impossible.
It does.
Even with modern cranes.
And all that stuff.
And lifting equipment.
Yeah.
It really does defy easy explanation.
It does, yeah.
And the purpose of these boxes.
What were they for?
Adds another layer of mystery.
Okay.
The mainstream theory is that they were used to store the mummified remains of sacred bulls.
Okay.
But some researchers believe they might have served
a different purpose.
Yeah. More esoteric function.
Like what?
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's like they're hiding something.
It's like those boxes hold a secret.
Yeah.
A piece of a puzzle.
Right.
That we haven't yet
figured out
how to fit in.
Yeah.
Precisely. And this brings us back
to
the limitations
of mainstream
archaeology. Van Kerkwyk points out that most archaeologists aren't engineers.
Right.
They don't necessarily have the expertise to fully analyze
the technical aspects.
Yeah, the technical aspects
Of these objects?
of these artifacts
Yeah.
and the challenges
Involved in creating them.
involved in creating them. Yeah.
So they don't really know.
It's like trying to understand how a computer works
Right.
without knowing anything about electronics.
You're just looking at the outside.
You might be able to describe what it does,
Right.
but you wouldn't truly grasp
The complexity.
the complexity of its inner working. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where the insights of engineers like Chris Dunn,
Right.
who we mentioned earlier, become so valuable.
Yeah.
Dunn approaches these
Ancient objects.
ancient artifacts with a practical engineer's mindset,
Okay.
trying to figure out how they were made,
Okay.
what kind of tools and techniques were used,
Yeah.
and what level of skill and knowledge
Would have been required.
would have been required.
Okay.
Yeah. And his conclusions often challenge the conventional wisdom.
Okay. Like what?
Like when he did that
Okay.
symmetry analysis
Fun.
on the head of the Ramses statue
Oh, wow. Okay.
at Luxor,
Okay.
he found
What'd he find?
that it was practically perfect,
Yeah.
achieving that level of symmetry
Yeah.
on such a large scale
Right.
and in a material as hard as granite
Yeah.
is incredibly difficult,
Even for us.
even with modern tools.
Wow.
It suggests the use of some kind of advanced,
Okay.
potentially even machine-guided precision.
So, like, they had machines.
Yeah, it makes you wonder,
It does.
did the ancient Egyptians have
Answer
technologies
that we don't know about.
that we're not aware of?
Wow.
Or were they perhaps drawing upon
Yeah.
knowledge and techniques
Inherited.
inherited from a more advanced civilization
That came before.
that predated them?
Wow. These are
Yeah.
these are questions.
Questions that really make you think.
That really make you think, yeah.
It's crazy.
And they force us to confront the possibility that our understanding of the past
Right.
might be more incomplete
Than we thought.
than we'd like to admit.
Than we want to believe.
It's a bit like realizing that the map we've been using to navigate our understanding of history
Yeah.
might be missing some crucial landmarks,
Oh, wow.
maybe even entire continents.
Right?
But instead of being afraid of getting lost,
Yeah.
we should embrace the challenge
Of exploring
and exploring these
uncharted territories.
uncharted territories. Yeah, I like that.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So with that in mind,
Okay.
let's continue our exploration.
Okay.
What other intriguing evidence
Okay.
does Van Kerkwyk present
Okay.
to support his claims?
A lost advanced civilization.
Advanced civilization.
Okay.
And what are the implications
Yeah.
of these ideas for our understanding
Of
human history and our place in the universe?
big question. So we've been talking about some pretty mind-blowing stuff.
I know.
Incredibly precise drill holes.
Yeah.
Massive granite boxes
Uh-huh.
that just seem to defy explanation
They really do.
with, our current understanding
Yeah.
of ancient technology.
It's like, how did they
Yeah.
possibly do this?
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, what else
Yeah,
might we be missing? What other secrets
exactly.
might be hidden in plain sight, just waiting to be uncovered?
That's what's so cool about exploring these
Yeah.
alternative theories.
Yeah.
You know? It opens up like a whole world of possibility
For sure.
and makes you question everything you thought you knew.
It's like starting over.
And one of the most intriguing aspects, I think,
Okay.
of Van Kerkwyk's work is how he connects these ancient mysteries
Uh-huh.
to like our modern understanding of
Okay.
technology and engineering.
Right. He's bringing in what he knows.
Exactly.
That's right.
When he talks about those Serapium boxes,
Right.
he doesn't just like marvel
Yeah.
at their size and precision.
Yeah.
He brings in,
His engineering.
his engineering expertise
Right.
to analyze how they might have been created,
Yeah.
what kind of tools and techniques
Would be needed.
would have been required.
And that's where things get really interesting.
That's where it gets interesting.
Because his conclusions often challenge the conventional wisdom.
The conventional wisdom.
Yeah. Right? He's like looking at it with fresh eyes.
He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
For example,
Okay.
he points out that the interior surfaces of these boxes
Uh-huh.
are incredibly smooth and flat.
Oh.
with almost no tool marks.
Wow.
To achieve that level of precision.
Even for us today.
Even with modern diamond-tipped cutting tools.
Right.
Would be incredibly difficult.
It's almost like they were using lasers or something.
It suggests that the ancient Egyptians,
or whoever made them,
or whoever created these boxes, had access to technology
that we don't even know about,
that we haven't even rediscovered yet.
It's like they were using tools that are so advanced. It's like magic to us.
Seems like magic.
Today.
And this brings us back to that
question of a lost civilization that might have had knowledge and technologies that are just beyond what we can even imagine.
Way beyond.